Okay, here's the first part of level 3. It's called factoring without a greatest common factor. Remember not even a while ago, in your level 1s, you were given problems like that I just boxed in red, and you would get this answer here. Well, factoring is taking this answer and working backwards to get this in the red box here. So the factors are what's in parentheses. That's what we call a factor. Okay, so it's working backwards from a trinomial, like 3 terms, into 2 groups, so 2 sets of parentheses. So A through F will take us through those types, and then down at the bottom, those are different, but those are absolutely my favorite because they're very easy to do. So let's take a look at number 1. So knowing that we need to factor to get into 2 groups, let's go ahead and start making up 2 groups. Now remember when we were multiplying these, we'd multiply the first and the 2 first terms, and we'd get that first term right there. So I'm going to put an x and an x because that's the only way to get this x squared in there. And then the back numbers needed to multiply to get to 6. Well, there's a couple different options here. We could choose 6 and 1. We could also choose 3 and 2. Okay. I'm going to start with the 3 and the 2 and see what happens. So I'm going to choose a 3 and a 2, and now I notice that it's a positive 6. There's a couple different ways to multiply that will get you a positive. Either a negative times a negative or a positive times a positive. So I'm going to start here with 2 positives. Now, with factoring, it takes a little bit to get used to. It takes some guessing and checking. Okay, so just stick with it. It won't come with you the first time, but just hang with it, okay? So here's how we know that if we're correct. We got our first terms, we got x squared, we got 6. We got to check the middle. We got to keep on checking to see if this is right. So 3 times x is 3x, and x times 2 is 2x. And now if I add those together, my final answer would be x squared plus 5x plus 6. And now I know that's not right because my problem has a 7x in the middle. So I need to change something. I'm going to go ahead and change my factors. I'm going to change the 3 and the 2 and see if that changes my outcome a little bit. So now I'm going to pick this 6 and 1. Okay, so 6 times x is 6. 1 times x is 1x. 6x plus 1x is 7x. And that's what my original problem was. So I know that my answers, my factors, are going to be x plus 6 and x plus 1. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to skip around and I'm going to go down to letter D. Okay, again, creating 2 factors. First numbers have to multiply to get to x squared. The only part of those, sorry, the only thing that multiplies to get to that is x and x. The last number has got to multiply to get to 7. The only options are 7 and 1. But remember we talked about it's a positive 7, so it could be either negative 7 and negative 1 or positive 7 and positive 1. Now I notice that this middle term has got to be negative, so chances are I'm probably going to take those 2 negative numbers. So I'm going to put negative 7 and negative 1. I'm going to check the middles and make sure that I'm going to get a negative 8. And sure enough, I'll get x squared minus 8x plus 7. So my answer is x minus 7 and x minus 1. Now you can flip those factors around. You could have listed x minus 1 first. That doesn't make a huge difference. Okay. All right, the last one I'm going to walk us through is letter E. So again, first 2 terms have got to multiply to get to x squared. Last 2 terms have got to multiply to get to 21. So it could be 3 and 7, it could be 1 and 21. For the sake of learning, let's try 1 and 21 first. Okay, it's going to be a negative, okay, so one of them will be negative and one will be positive. Okay, so let's try the positive 21 and a negative 1. Let's go ahead and check that rest of the face. So this is going to give me x squared plus 20x minus 21. It's not even close to what I need it to be. What if I change the signs? What if I made the 21 negative and the 1 positive? Would that change anything? No, now I've got a minus 20. So do I give up? Nope. I'm going to use my other factors, 3 and 7. So I'm going to get rid of this down here. I'm going to get rid of that middle. Let's try 3 and 7. Okay, and leave the sign, see if it works. Okay, 3x times x is 3x. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. If I add those together, I'm going to get negative 4x, which is exactly what my problem reads. So my answer is x plus 3 and x minus 7. So it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. It's going to take a little bit of trial and error, but the more you do these, the more you'll come across patterns and you'll start seeing them before they happen. So I'm going to get you started on the rest of them, and then I'm going to ask you to pause it, and then I'll give you the answers for the rest of them so you can check your work. So like I said, these bottom three here, fact of the binomials, a difference of two squares, are my absolute favorite because they are so simple. If you notice, 9, 144, and 81, those are called perfect squares because you can multiply a number by itself and get that number. So like for 9, it was 3 and 3. 144 would be 12 times 12. 81 would be 9 times 9. So they're so simple, and if you notice that they don't have a middle term like the ones above, but you factor them the same way. First two terms have got to be multiplied to get to x. Last two terms have got to multiply to get to negative 9. So one's got to be positive and one's got to be negative to get to a negative 9. Whoops. So I'm going to go ahead and check the middles and make sure that I don't get a middle term. So I'm going to get x squared, negative 3x plus 3x is 0, and I'm going to get a minus 9. So my answer is x minus 3, x plus 3. Okay, we'll do one more together. X minus 144. Like I said, it was 12 and 12, so it'll follow the pattern x plus 12, x minus 12, and you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to pause the video and try the remaining problems on your own, and then play the video when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so for B, hopefully you got the chance to try them. For B, your answer would be x plus 5 and x plus 2, and again, you could have written that the other way around, x plus 2 and x plus 5. For C, your answer will be x plus 6, x minus 2. Again, you could have flipped those around as long as the minus was with the 2 and the plus was with the 4. Was with the 6. And for F, we'd have, let's see, minus 8 and plus 3. And then last but not least, for letter C and your difference of perfect squares, be x minus 9 and x plus 9. So go ahead and try those level 3s. Make sure you watch the second video for the level 3 part 2s.